Okay, I'd like to call to order the Fire District Board meeting of December 21st. Can we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the
of the
United
United
States
States
of
America,
and to the republic
Republic,
for which it
which stands
one
one
nation
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty,
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
That's great. All right, can we have the roll call, please, Chris?
Yes, ma'am. Aldrich,
Yes.
Beckman,
Here.
Fox,
Here.
Verplank,
Here.
Phelps,
Here.
Pullen,
Here.
and Miller.
Here.
All set.
Okay, would you please silence your cell phones? And it is against the Open Meetings Act to text people during the meeting, especially people who are attending the meeting. So just bear that in mind. And moving on, could we have an approval of the agenda, please? I have an agenda change I would like to take. Item 11F, the Board of Review appeal and or the Board of Appeals appeal, and move it after request for payment, so before item 9. Just because Aaron has to leave the meeting early, and I would really think Aaron needs to be here for that discussion.
Thank you, Jane.
So could we just call that like 8B or C? Could be 8C, I think. Sorry.
HC, Chris.
Yep.
8C,
Okay.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the said corrections or adjustment.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Beckman and a second by Phelps. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Beckman,
Yes.
Phelps,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Verplank,
Yes.
Pullen,
Yes,
and Miller.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on, could I have an approval of the minutes of the November 16th meeting, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 16th as presented.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Phelps and a second by Pullen to accept the minutes of the November 16th meeting. Is there any discussion? Okay, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Phelps,
Yes.
Pullen,
Yes,
Aldrich, Aldrich,
Stacy.
Stacy. Are you yes or no to the minutes?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, all right, so thank you. Beckman,
Yes.
I didn't hear that.
The
Fox,
lights on over there?
Yes.
okay. Verplank,
Yes.
and Miller.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, it's time for public comment. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and their agenda items only. Is there any comment out there? Hearing no
Not from me,
one.
thank you.
Okay, moving on. Can we have approval of the accounts payable, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable of $190,741.70.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Phelps and a second by Pullen to accept the accounts payable in the amount of $190,741.70. Is there any discussion, any questions?
I was curious about Tom Dykstra and why he's got a bigger payroll than everybody. Is he a firefighter or?
Tom Dykstra, Stacy is a firefighter that is a lieutenant, our captain on Grasscup Fire Department. He's also, I think, deputy chief in Salem.
Mhm.
And we use him to fill in when we had some voids in our staffing because of COVID.
Mhm.
He's fire officer 1, 2, and 3. He's an EMT. He's already trained and officer certified. So we used him to fill in when we had some people out. And then also he came in, he was working on projects as well. So yeah, it looks like a lot of money right there.
Well, it's
Yes.
like more than yours, and I can't imagine anybody getting more than you.
Thank you. Thank you for noting that Stacy. And could you highlight that, Chris, you know?
Yes. Chief, I do believe that may have been submitted as 1 month, not bi-weekly. That he
Correct,
went With
yeah.
the normal paid on call payroll as well is
Right.
the difference.
Yeah.
So,
That's not a weekly check, Stacy.
Oh.
It's one lump.
Okay, I figured it might be something like that. Thank you.
that
No,
was
it's a
also a
good-
motion to increase Chief's pay to that too, right?
Uh-huh.
Actually, that would
Uh,
decrease if that's for 1 month. That would be a decrease. for the chief.
Thanks, Chris, for that.
Sorry, I tried to help.
Can we have a roll call vote, please? If there's no other questions, is there any other questions? Okay, can we have a roll call vote?
Yes, ma'am. Phelps,
Yes.
Pullen,
Yes,
Aldrich,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Fox, Verplink,
Yes.
and Miller.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, can we have a financial report, Peter?
Yes. Property taxes are all out there. They were mailed. Some people paid them early, so we have some property tax revenue coming in, so our cash flow will start increasing. The expenses, there's a couple of them that are over budget, but one of them is the professional services, and in January, we'll have to have a budget adjustment with that account. And then the other one that's over budget is the building and repair maintenance, but it's not, because Greg, there's an insurance claim coming in and we just got the check in today's mail, so that will correct itself. But overall, I think we're fairly well decent shape. We had one more payment on our general insurance, so it'll come in April. Otherwise, I think we're in decent shape. I don't know if anybody has any particular questions or.
Jane, may I comment?
No. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Peter, correct me if I'm wrong. On expense 709, operational wages, I wanted to point out that 74% or 73.54%. Please keep in mind that we also, in revenue, which doesn't show in here, at $59,000 to help offset that increased cost. I think if you look around, just everyone has increased their payroll as a result of COVID. Example would be Fenville Police Department. So please keep in mind that overage does not show an offset of $59,000 in a FEMA grant.
I'm gonna double check, make sure. I don't know if we did I don't remember if we did an adjustment. Hang on. Yes, we already added, actually, we added, it's up to 87. Originally, the budget was only for 60,000. So those operational wages are pushing up. We put the 27,000 on there,
Right.
budget adjustment. So, it's something we're gonna have to take a look at. But we do have another 59,000 that we have not put anywhere that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
For wages of revenue that we're gonna have to, it's gonna probably have to go towards operational wages when we had some individuals that were out due to COVID here in the last, and we got a long ways to go yet still on that. So,
Right.
but there is still 58,000, about $50,000 in revenue that will probably go into that line. The biggest share of it's going to go to that line item.
Peter,
Thanks.
I'm just wondering, is this the last year, this next payment, is this the last payment on 2112?
Yeah, the KME, yeah, the one that's February 1st or March 1st, that's the final payment.
Okay.
40, I think it's 42,000.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so moving on. Thank you, Peter. Moving on, let's do this Board of Appeals discussion now. Greg, do you want to start?
Yes, briefly, we wanted to let the board members know that we had an appeal filed a week ago from today based on the fire code. And there's some discrepancies as far as they have a belief that the code doesn't apply. And they subsequently filed an appeal. That was the direction that they chose to take. We've been working with the appellant and trying to sort it out. It's a bit confusing in that you have a single family dwelling that applied for the appeal. However, I guess, Chris, if you could show what we viewed, we just don't want to drag the board members into this, but it's important that you're aware of how we concluded what we did and how the plan review was done. And this is clearly how we saw the project as declared by Naderveld, with the lots predominantly at the bottom of the page of the screen on 66th Street. We have an appeal from lot 11, which is right-hand side there by the cursor. And if you can move your photos here, let's see. If you look on the conceptual plan, it clearly says conceptual overall development plan. So there were a number of indicators for us that mirrored other projects that we had reviewed. So that's how we came up with what we did. So we're just getting legal counsel as far as how to handle the appeal, and want to let you all know about the appeal.
Do we have questions?
What do they want to do?
Yeah, what was,
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. I guess the problem is when we did the plan review for lot 11, I guess people have to understand that single family building permits are issued one at a time. They aren't issued in clusters. So whether there's one home or 1,000 homes, they're issued individually by law.
okay, yeah,
And the plan review was submitted based on one home. We don't require a water supply for one home. We treated this like we have with other developments that we have been asked to review. Since 2013, when I became chief, we've consistently followed this. And it was a plan review submitted for a single family dwelling. And of course we said, well, where's the water supply? There's got to be a water supply. And, you know, their side of it is, well, we don't need a water supply for one home. So I think it's an interpretation issue. And for us, it was consistent with other developments that we have done in the last several years. You always get this anomaly where there's a house built, for example, where I live. Dead End Road, there's probably 200 houses out there. Somebody puts in a house, says there's many of them going in up there, and there's no water supply required because it wasn't a development that we were asked to review. It's an area. So there are some factors that are involved when we look at this. When we asked to review it, how many houses are involved? 3 or more prompts a water supply. But I think what happens is people kind of use a development and land divisions and dividing, there's different interpretations there. That's why the fire code does not acknowledge that. If you construct and there's project and there's construction, you've got to address the water supply. In areas where we have no water main, we've addressed that. But a standalone house and something that's been existing, we don't address because it's already existing. This is not existing. So that's our opinion.
So when will we know?
Greg, without, maybe you don't want to go into the weeds on this, but doesn't some of the stickiness relate to that period of time prior to the current township administration, when somebody rendered an opinion that they shouldn't have rendered, and so the appellant is trying to use that?
There's here's a situation as we've talked with township and others. The land splits, the land divisions were approved in 2018, which has nothing to do with time of construction, building permits. Things change. What if we were in a different building construction code between 2018 and 2020? It's when the building permits are requested. And again, they're one at a time. They're not in clusters. So you treat it as one, but does it not mirror another similar project, North Shores Lot 15? That was presented as a single family dwelling. Was that not determined to be a development? Was not Commercial Boulevard determined to be a development? It was, and what's really important here for me, the trigger, is the use. Consider this. People are sleeping in these structures. Where is the water supply?
Yes.
And when you have water on both sides of the project, we look at this as, wow, the water master plan requires the water to be extended. However, from their perspective, you're making me put in a very expensive water main for one single family dwelling. We never looked at it as one single family dwelling. It's reviewed as a house, but some unfair, in our opinion, some unfair comparisons were drawn here and with other plan reviews taken out of context. And that's what we're trying to explain. And we hope to work this all out and resolve this. But
Well,
it's just important. Yes.
The map that you showed, or the plot map or whatever,
Can we go back to that, Chris?
Sorry.
certainly makes a strong case that this is a development. If you drive down there, you can see one sign after another from the same real estate operation selling one lot after another, or sold lots.
Along with the real estate office.
So, I mean, and they dug the lake, or whatever it is, to be the
And
center of that
there's
development.
individual transformers also.
Say again?
There's individual transformers,
Yes.
electric, on each piece of property.
Yep.
From what I understand.
You can
That
see.
is correct. So since this is in an area where there are water mains available, we looked at this and treated it as if we believe the township welcomes and encourages development, as they should. We also believe that the township believes, as the fire district believes, in infrastructure, investing in infrastructure. You want to develop and profit, put in the infrastructure, but don't omit one of the most important things: what water supplies for fire protection. And if you can extend a fire hose across the street, you can extend the water main. And again, the water master plan goes into depth about this. And we want to look at it from both parts, look at it from the developer's standpoint. The problem here is the applicant says, hey, I'm just one house, I'm not a developer. So that we understand. However, so is every other house that builds, unless it's a spec house. And we ask, is this any different from some of the other ones you've looked at? And if it is, how? Not for you to determine now, but we think it's important that the fire board be appraised as to the Board of Appeals filing.
Okay. When will we find out?
We're waiting for a legal opinion on what to do, and I guess Aaron, as the chair of the Fire Board of Appeals, has to seek counsel of the attorney and get some direction as far as timing goes. We have 30 days from the time of filing. We look at that as calendar days. So we have some time to have a Board of Appeals, but I'm going to leave that up to the Board of Appeals. I'm on that Board of Appeals, but the chair will decide when.
Yeah, so
Okay.
assuming the appeal does move forward and sounds like they filed their appeal on the 14th, which means we need to meet by January 13, 14. I'm thinking we'd probably want to hold the hearing either January 11th or 12th to give people as much time as possible to prepare for that, but still stay within the 30 days. So that's what I'm thinking, and Eric and Jane, I'll reach out to you to see if there's specific times in those days that work or don't work for you.
Okay, but don't we just have to meet. We don't have to have a hearing within 30 days. We have to meet within 30 days. Is that not correct?
But I
I
would
thought
prefer
it
to
was-
meet and hold the hearing at the same time rather than meet just to set the hearing date and time. I don't see any reason to meet twice.
Can you be prepared, Greg, to hear this by the 11th? of June?
If that's what the Board of Appeals would like to do, we will do our best to meet all that, to meet that. We will have to prepare the case. We put a lot of time and effort into that, as the board knows, and we understand that the chair's well-founded comments. We'll do our best to be prepared for that. We're going to have to just kind of change some things around a little, but
But
we'll do what's required.
we have a lot going on in the department. I mean, if the COVID vaccine comes out, I mean, that's another whole issue that we have to deal with. I'm not sure we can meet this deadline, Aaron.
I think
With Christmas and New Year's in
to
here.
drag it out to get it done with.
Gotta
So
get-
Well, we have time to decide that, right? Aaron and Jane,
Yep.
we don't have to sort that out now. We'll figure it out, and we'll do whatever you want us to do.
Don't we have 30 days to schedule a hearing, not to have the hearing?
Right.
That is correct.
Which in
Oh,
other words,
okay.
we can schedule the hearing within the 30 days, but it doesn't have to be within those 30 days.
but we have to officially meet to schedule that.
Okay, well, can't we count today as an official meet to schedule it?
No, this is the Board of Appeals. This has nothing to do with the.
Oh,
vote.
right, sorry, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So I'll send it out.
Well, what I'm saying there is we can still schedule a meeting to discuss, but that doesn't mean Greg has to be prepared to present. at
Right,
that.
I agree. I think it's a waste of time to schedule the next meeting rather than just have the hearing in that first meeting. Assuming both parties can be prepared.
I think that's the key, if they both can be prepared.
Well, thank you, board, for that consideration. We'll figure it out. We'll give you an answer. If we tell you we can't do it, we'll go to plan B.
okay,
I'm pretty flexible, Aaron, so whatever you decide, let us know. Or let-
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, so are we done with that? Greg, do you have anything else you want to bring up?
No, ma'am. Thank you to the board for the comments, and we will do our best to mitigate this. No, nobody's going to win with this. It's just unfortunate. At this time, with the prioritization we have with the health and well-being of residents, that we have a Board of Appeals. It's most unfortunate. You need to know how I feel about this. So, thank you.
Okay, all right, moving on. We'll go to 9, fire chief comments.
Okay, I'll go through briefly. We are about 13% behind last year, and we could scroll through a little more. I'll just do this briefly. Right there, we're about 13% down. So everything is pretty typical as far as the matrix goes with prior comparisons. So nothing that's stand out at this whole thing. Response times have jumped up a bit. Don't quite know why, other than it was geography. Some of the calls were further southeast, but it's not a big thing right now. So that is really highlights that I can offer you on that. And then as far as community risk reduction for the state of Michigan, unfortunately, we've had 115 fatal fires, 18 since our last meeting, which is just extraordinarily up there. I can share with you some great news on another grant, and that is reimbursement for plans examiner and inspector 2 classes in the form of a 50% reimbursement. Those grants are capped at 50%. So we paid a little over $1,000, and our insurance company paid for $1,000. So we're happy to share that with you. Next up on the tanker project, it's something that went wrong for us. Tanker 2141 is a 2007 tanker. We've had scheduled, there we have, the cabinets were scheduled to be replaced. Some of the board members may remember we did that with the other truck, the sister to this truck, 2142. The cabinets rusted out, they were rotting off, almost falling off the truck, and they're original, so it was time to replace them. To have the truck similar, we wanted to change some of the pump piping around so it mirrored the other truck. So in the capital plan, we had about $20,000 budgeted to replace the cabinets and move some piping here and there. The problem became there was so much deterioration with the piping, it became a repair. So we not only had $20,000 capital improvement project, we had a repair of about 14,000 and change. And that's what I wanted to share with the board. These trucks were very good value. We've upgraded them. We don't have $600,000 into them. I think we paid about $125,000 and change. And now they mirror one another. We also increased the cabinet size. That's why this one would cost a little bit more, because we had to move the piping right where that extension cord is. And now the trucks mirror one another, and that makes sense to do that. So subsequently, we ran into all sorts of rotted plumbing. Chris actually has one of the pieces of pipe on his desk that leaked. This shows you what we have now. They're aluminum. They aren't steel cabinets. So we increased cabinet size, upgraded the truck. The unfortunate part for me is I ended up with a repair, and I also didn't have a truck, 50% of my tankers for 6 weeks, which was a bit nerve-wracking. But everything worked out. The bad part I wanted to share with you is I incurred another $14,000 in repairs, and I'm sorry.
Beyond your control.
I'm glad to hear that. There wasn't a whole lot I can do about this.
Like Neil Young says, Russ never sleeps.
Yeah, guess.
Especially on Dodges. I mean,
Those trucks don't have that many miles on them, so it's worth it to fix them up, keep them in good shape.
Yeah, definitely. Saves us a
You're
lot
right.
of money.
They're under 10,000 miles on the trucks,
yeah.
and they're good Kenworth chassis. So we've had some expenses on relining the tanks, but now's not the time to buy another tanker. We already have a truck project that we scheduled way before this. So if there's no more questions on that, That would conclude my fire chief comments.
Thank you.
Okay, one comment, Greg, just because calls are down doesn't mean the expenses are down though, because of COVID and having to have people fill in for other people. So just
Fair
the
enough,
natural thing to think is because calls are down, then expenses are down, but they are not. So just to note
Thank you.
that. Okay, and then moving on to unfinished business, COVID-19. Go ahead, Greg.
So here is what my priority and focus is: getting the immunization plan into action for the benefit of our fire district residents. That is my priority. Everything else is secondary, other than my staff's well-being. So my staff's in good shape. Now what I'm focused on every day of the week is getting the immunization plan. We are waiting for the vaccine to come in. We have probably 270 volunteers, great response out of Allegan County Fire Service. We have probably 75 nurses who volunteered and a lot of non-clinical people who sign up for this. So we're very pleased with the responses. The tremendous task placed before us and how we're going to get everyone immunized that chooses to be immunized. So I just want to share with the board that between emergency management and my position as a emergency function lead or leader and task force, one of 7 that helps design the plan to immunize Allegan County, this is what it's about. It's about our people, our residents, and this is the focus. And we're almost there. We're waiting for the vaccine.
Where do you go for the vaccine? Where do you go to get it?
Great question. So there will be a number of high schools that like Hamilton, Wayland, Plainwell high schools, and you sign up for it, and that'll be publicized in advance. You sign up online to get the vaccine. There's 2 shots that are required, and there's a very well laid out flow chart on where you go, where you park. You go and you get the shot, and then you go into a holding pattern for 20 minutes to make sure there's no reaction, anaphylactic shock, and then you're released. There are 2 shots required,
Mm-hmm.
and there are 2 vaccines, one from Pfizer, one from Moderna. We don't know which one we're going to get.
Okay.
There's already some operations that already have been vaccinated. One of our ALS agencies has started vaccine. You don't know what you're going to get, who's going to get the vaccine. Public safety, along with healthcare, hospital workers, are priority. Then it goes into 65 and older. Yes.
What I was going to ask, are there step down priorities after that?
Yes, sir. There's phase 1A, phase 1B, like for example, critical care workers, the Kellogg Sewer and Water, your DPW. We pretty much are going to be shut down if we don't have those people. I believe they're a 1B. They're critical care. Healthcare, because we have more hands-on, more direct contract exposure risks, we're a little ahead of them on vaccine, but we don't have it yet. Some areas do.
Okay.
What is coming from the state or federal in terms of guidance on how to do this versus what is being determined at the county level?
So the feds tell the state they have to have a plan in place, and the state tells the counties they have to have a plan in place. That's why there was a vaccination task force established to determine how to do this. Some of the doctors from Allegan County, our medical control director, the incident commander is head of Allegan County Health. The plan has to be established before we can even get the vaccine. And that's what we have been working on for about the last 5 weeks, Aaron. And for example, healthcare, public safety, we go into a closed area to be vaccinated, and that's Elgin County Sheriff's Association, our sheriff's offices. You guys wouldn't go there. We go there. It's called a closed facility. The public would be going to Hamilton High School, Plainwell High School, Wayland High School, things like that.
As
So you-
board members, do we come in, play on that?
Unfortunately, not true. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I didn't think so, but I just thought I'd double check. I didn't think so. Okay.
We're all expendable.
Yeah, that's fine. Come in the next group anyway.
So even thinking about like the challenges of getting people back for the second round, all of that sort of process for how to remind people and get them back is determined and held at the county level, not anything at the state level.
The county writes the protocol. It's approved by the state on a state level. Yesterday, Sunday, I just got 3 protocols that our medical control director, Dr. Mastenbrook, approved. He actually wrote them, and they're approved by the state of Michigan. So it's all in place.
So Greg, are our protocols all in place for Allegan County so that we have ordered the vaccine, or?
Oh, yes. Yes. We just don't know how many we're going to get. For example, if we have 250 1A healthcare people, wow, how much vaccine will we get? Enough for 100, 150? That's the question we don't know because it's being released sporadically.
Okay. Any other questions about COVID?
I guess I just had one. So if you get 200 doses, does that actually mean you can only immunize 100 people?
No, because this would be the first part of that dose. The second part is different. Right.
Okay.
Have you
It's a
heard
different dose.
anything? Oops, on the news, I heard that they were considering now they might not have enough right away and that they're going to move the 65-year-olds to 75. Have you heard anything about that yet? Or
I haven't heard. Oh,
I
true.
saw
Go ahead.
something
Go ahead.
about that. Yeah, I saw something about that, but it was just a quick blip. And so I don't exactly know what it is.
As I remember, I thought it originally when it came out was 62 years old. Then it went to 65. That's what I remember.
well, because I'm 65, they'll move it to 75. It's
We
about-
had you down. We had you down for 49 years old there, Stacy. So
Greg. Does cuteness come along in Zoom, or does it translate well? I think it's better in person.
Okay, any more questions about COVID? Okay, moving on. Go on to new business, the Insurance Service Office PPC rating upgraded from 3 to a 310.
this is very exciting to share with the fire board. What you're looking at here is history. Scott, you've been here a long time. The fire department from Chief Block's days always strive to improve the ISO rating. And this department being as progressive, innovative as it is, stems from the leadership of the fire board. And I'm really happy to share with you that for the first time in history, and I think we're the only department in Allegan County, the rating now is a split rating. When I got into this, it used to be one number. And I remember Chief Block going from a 6 to a 5, which was pretty significant back then. And I've been through 3 survey reviews now. And ISO does a split rating. So what does a split mean? If you're more than 5 miles from the fire department, you're an automatic 10. So we have a very small area that is beyond 5 miles. So everywhere else is a 3. The split rating comes in those areas that are beyond 5 miles become a 10. Now, where you get shock is when somebody has an insurance premium based on a formerly a 5 rating, and then they go to a 10, that's a substantial jump. There doesn't appear to be much. One opinion is there isn't much of a different price on premium between a 5 and a 3. We don't know that yet. It was an opinion. The jury's still out on that because this doesn't go into effect until March 1st. But what you have are premises, structures, residents, and mainly commercial that are more marketable because they have a better classification, a better rating from a 5 to a 3. So the lower number, the better. For the township people, here's something you should know. If you want to change that 10, you want to lower that 10 for our residents, get them to put in an emergency access road around the washout. I didn't set the rules. I can't change it. But Chris has got a map here. This is all the handiwork of Chris Mantles, who is a genius at all this. And he shows you the area. You're almost 98% of our area is a 3 rating, and a little over 2% is a 10 rating. And you can see the area south of the washout that has the impact that went from a 5 to a 10. And because it's beyond the limits of the fire department distance, we can't help it.
Greg, I should know
Yes.
better in terms of geography, but is that is that area actually closer to Ganges than it is to the?
Engines?
Yes, it is close, and we also, it also takes into account for that. However, the primary station is Saugatuck, and even the credit for Ganges does not negate the automatic 10 by ISO requirements. They changed their rating system. So they're actually penalizing if you're beyond 5 miles and no water supply.
No, it makes sense. I get it. I was just curious.
It's a
whether-
good question because I thought the same thing. We did receive credit from for Ganges, and Chris has got the numbers on the screen there to the right.
How many houses does this affect? Do you know, or?
Boy, or Stacy, I want to say I'm guessing maybe 30. We'd have to
Oh.
count it.
Pretty much, yeah.
A lot of
That's
which
not a
have
lot.
to be high value property.
We have to go south to go north.
So their insurance, because of this rating, those 30 houses, if you, whatever, their insurance will be much higher than the other people in the township, right?
It could be. It could be. Not all of them had an impact on it.
Oh,
there
so
are,
you don't know yet?
No.
Because I would think there's a motivation for them to want an access road.
Correct.
I would-
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
The access road was put in, would that would get them within the 5 miles?
yes, sir.
Yes.
That would make a difference, and that's an incentive for the people. Once their insurance premiums become due and they renew, maybe that will be a motivator. But fortunately for this fire department, we didn't cause that.
They should be informed of that.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. You're right, Scott. That's what I'm hoping. Stacy, can bring in Eric Beckman at the appropriate time, can enlighten their trustees as to this. And now that we kind of released it, they can share this, and also we can come to a meeting at some time and explain further, the nuts and bolts of it. But it's pretty exciting news. Not pretty, it's very exciting news. And it shows that, to me, the great effort of the team that we have. Again, I know of no fire department that's got a 3 in Allegan County.
Getting it down to a
So-
3 is huge.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we do a kind of press release and
Yeah.
use some of Chris's handy dandy work here and send the people that the 10 is going to be affecting a letter directly from the township, letting them know what's going to happen here.
So all those blue marks are houses that'll be effective under the yellow line, right?
The other way
No.
around. The
Oh,
ones under
up
the yellow
above it?
line are not the ones above. So basically, there's like 5 houses south of 126th, and then
Uh-huh.
everything north to the washout is affected.
And these ones on the right, are they part of it too?
Everything,
You know, up on, by the expressway there?
correct, yep. All of
Oh.
these up in this area, if they're 5 road miles from Ganges Township Station, or exceeding 5 road miles from Ganges Station or ours, then yes, they're a 10.
Do you think we should get their names and compile a list and maybe send an initial letter explaining it? Or I don't know what's the easiest way
I
to
like
do.
I like to inform the residents. I mean, nobody likes to
Yeah.
get an insurance bill where their rates go up $300 or $400 or $500. We don't know what they're going to go up. And it's nice to share this information with people, and maybe we could get a list together and inform them, hey, here's where we're at. There's a change in the rating classification process for ISO. Not all insurance companies use ISO. That's why one person that went to a 10 had no increase in the premium,
Oh,
and another one did.
I think it's probably a good idea. I mean, it's township business, but it's be a good idea to do the, either as a meeting offered or as a letter with the maps or whatever, or both. But to do that before anybody's insurance gets
Yeah,
hit, because once there's a dollar number on it, you know, people are gonna, their dander's gonna be up, and it's gonna make reasonable communication difficult.
yeah, how would they know unless somebody notifies them? And I think we should be notifying them.
They wouldn't know, and I think
No.
they just wouldn't know. They would just get their insurance bill, and they don't know a rating. You know,
No.
that's not their, you know, responsibility necessarily to look into it. Their insurance agent should inform them.
Yes,
But
but they
when you
don't.
start, you know, impacting people's budgets and their wallets, I think it would be helpful and smart and wise to let them know. So maybe I could get with Stacy and Eric in the next couple of weeks, and then get a plan together on how we can inform these people. Maybe Stacy could talk with Griffin or Lene and get a list of the people that are there, so we have the addresses, and we can develop a letter and inform the people. This is what we have. This is the potential impact. Here's a solution.
Should we be doing it? or should the
solution
township
is
be
they
doing it?
build an access road, right? That they do it?
Well, I think the residents, at least they have an option. At least they're informed. They have a choice.
Okay.
Do they want to give up some of their property for a temporary road or not? If
Either
they're
way, yeah.
if they're okay, they have a choice. It's up to them.
Okay.
I think we have to be somewhat careful about this because
Okay.
your insurance may go up or it might not, depending on who your insurer is. So
Correct.
I think
Right.
this is not as easy as it sounds possibly because this is a maybe, it's not a for sure. It's a for sure that they're a 10, but it's a maybe that their policy may go up.
Yes,
That's
but they should
accurate.
at least know, they should at least know there's a possibility.
But
Otherwise-
then you get into where do you get your insurance? I don't know.
The other piece,
We
Janet,
don't need to get into
I think,
that.
excuse me.
Dan, go ahead.
The other aspect of this is that we have information now, forget insurance bills. We have public safety information that we owe those people.
Right, absolutely.
Well, yeah, I would assume that the fire department would prefer an access road, correct? I mean, to cut time off of your response or?
All we need is a 12-foot 2-track. But the thing is it's transiting on somebody's private property. But
Yeah.
this might be a reason to not only for public safety, predominantly for public safety, but some people react more so when it's a monetary situation.
Any
Right.
question?
I think you
Should-
need to this letter has to be very well written because, we need to inform people that they're a 10, but then there also has to be that caveat, your insurance may or may not go up depending on
Right,
who your insurance is with. I don't know, this sounds.
And then you have to tell them the reason why, basically, is it takes longer to get to them, which they might not be aware of, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, boy, I'd be surprised
Yeah,
after all the meetings I attended that they didn't know it takes us about
Oh.
15 minutes to get to them. But you're right, some of them aren't around, Stacy. So
And it's good to have a written record of notifying them of all of those.
right.
Right. I'm
Should
not
the
saying,
township,
I'm not saying don't notify them. What I'm
No,
saying is
no, I know.
we have to be careful how this is worded or how.
Well, why don't we bring it back to the board in a month or 2 months when we get out of this immunization? That's the priority. This is, in a way, the timing should be no surprise the residents. We can't get to them. We have to go all the way down to M89 to get up to them. So that should be no surprise. But we could write a letter and run it across the board and see how they like it.
Right.
yeah, who should? be
Why
doing it?
don't Griffin and I and Eric and Lene try to figure out the people involved and kind of get that going and leave you guys working on your COVID stuff, and we could start it out and then get together.
Great.
when-
Yeah,
Does
I
that
think
sound
this
good?
really has to be with the cooperation of the township. I think that's.
Are you think that's okay,
Well-
Griffin?
That's what I'm wondering. Should the township be doing this letter or should the fire department be doing it?
Well, I think the
Yeah.
township might start it because we got who was in there, and then the fire department might be finished. Where'd Griffin go? Is he gone?
His
No, he's
video
here.
disappeared a little while ago. He's still in. Oh, there he is.
What do you
I-
think about
I'm
that,
here.
Griffin?
I'm
Did
thinking
you
the
hear
township
that?
should be doing
Can,
this.
can you say that one more time, just the last part?
I was wondering if you and me and Lene and Eric should do the preliminary figuring out who lives there and getting that information so that the fire department could work on their COVID stuff, and we can gather what we can find out and then get together with them and later.
Yeah, again, getting who lives there is not the hard part.
It's not hard at all. Okay.
I mean, it just takes
No.
time. It's not hard. I think the challenge is going to be, and if me and Eric want to schedule a meeting to sit down and discuss this a little more, or whoever, I'm happy to. I think, as you all have been referencing, I mean, there's just a lot of other things to consider about this. That the getting the names of who's in that area is not going to be the hard part.
Right. I think it should be a collaborative effort between the fire department and the township.
Right,
Okay.
but who should the letter come from? The township?
Oh, we
Or
can
the fire
decide that
department.
when we write the letter.
Sure. So I don't know. I
That's a
mean,
good consideration.
Chief or Stacy or whoever, I mean, if you all want to instigate that and start a meeting, I'm happy to do what I can to help, and we can go from there.
I can
Well,
provide.
I think Greg's too busy right now with the COVID, right? I think.
Well, I
he-
can provide details too, Stacy. Most of the details are already within the content we've shared. So to provide you with some, points of interest would be easy. Here's
Okay.
what ISO does. Here's the potential impact. It may or may not affect your premium. And here's what one solution could be. A possible solution, and we're happy to talk about that further. But we don't have to decide that now. But we can share anything that you need.
Right.
Okay.
I like that direction.
Chief, correct me if I'm wrong too, that 10 rating actually went into effect about last March when we found out about the ISO update by getting a call from a concerned citizen whose insurance had changed already. So the only difference between March and now is we were able to get it from a 4 in the other parts of the township and cities to a 3. Is that?
That's correct.
accurate?
Actually, you're right, Chris. The 10 did go into effect. I think it was in March when we had the survey.
Roughly,
It
yeah.
was in March. Yep, February or March. So they've already had a 10, and we did hear from I think 2 residents, and that's all we heard from.
And their
when the
bill went
renewals were-
up? Did their bill
One
go
of-
up?
One of them did.
Okay, when is the 3? Is the 3 this March or was it last March?
The 3 is this coming March of 2021. I didn't do good job explaining that. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay to move forward, Jane?
Yeah, just as an added thing, the 3 really affects the underwriting of insurance more than it does your premium, but we can get into that later. Okay, moving on. 11B, funding approval request for engine 2111 roll call vote.
So what we have before you is a request in our capital improvement plan that we started in 2013. Everything has a life expectancy. The regulatory authority is NFPA. And when I started in the fire service, you used to be able to run a truck 20 years, and now they recommend you take it out in 15 years.
And how
The
long?
15 years, they
15.
recommend it's not a frontline truck. It used to be 20
Okay.
years. There are a
Okay.
lot of advantages to the 15-year in that for us, then it separates it from another truck that's coming due in the next 5 years. And there's a big reason for considering a 15-year span and from a first line truck, and that is technology, the advancements in safety. Trucks now have airbags, significant improvement. There's a number of things that are different with trucks built now than they were. This truck has been a very good truck for Saugatuck Fire. It was built in Spencer's, 22 miles away, and we've been happy with Spencer's performance. As you can see by the funding approval form, we reached out to a number of manufacturers for an RFP. And to summarize, Spencer's not only came in as the most effective meeting our RFP, they also came in cheaper. So in meeting with all the fire officers in depth, the focus of all our officer meetings were the choice of fire trucks and the design. What do we have to have? What do we need? And Spencer's met that criteria. So you have before you a capital request to replace this and how it'll be paid for. We recommend you wait until the truck is built in a year and a half before we talk about getting rid of 2111, because we can't sell it now. We don't know what it's going to be worth in a year and a half. It's impossible to predict. So.
Okay, sounds good. All right. I'll make a motion to authorize fire district staff to execute the contract and agreements with Spencer Manufacturing Incorporated for the purchase of the 2021-22 Spartan Spencer custom pumper tanker per the enclosed proposal and payment terms, including the 3% contingency for the not to exceed amount of $685,000 for anticipated delivery in spring or summer of 2022.
I'll second that.
Dan, did you second?
Got
Okay,
it.
I-
There were 3 of us, so.
We all went,
Give it to
okay,
whoever.
we'll give this one to 5s. How's that? Another country heard from. Okay. Is there any more discussion about this? So Greg, why don't you talk a little bit about the payment plan for this?
So we do have $450,000 in the fund reserve, and what we're hoping to do, what we plan on, is with the increase in property values that has happened every year, we will make the last loan payment on another engine, and that'll free up $42,000 per year, that our prediction is we will have the funds without having to get a loan for the engine. Our backup plan to that is if we're short funding, then we can discuss how to sell 2111, the engine this is replacing.
Okay, is there 2 funding cycles before we have this truck?
Yes. Because
So-
we won't, it's not anticipated to be delivered until July of 2022, when that budget cycle would start.
Okay, so we should be looking at laying aside, divide whatever we owe in half and look at laying that aside those 2 years so that we have the money for this truck.
Correct.
Because I'm telling you, it's very expensive. It's very confusing to try to get a loan for the fire department. The last one was god awful. I don't know if any of you were on the board. Scott, you were. But
Eric.
Linus
Very
offered if you
close.
need someone to go to the office of the Great Seal, he's happy to drive there again. So,
yeah, whatever the Office of the Great Seal is. But I mean, it involved trips to Lansing. It involved special meetings. It was, I'll tell you, it took up a lot of time. So hopefully we will have enough money when this truck comes in to pay for it. Because we have to have an attorney's advice for all of this too. And if I remember, I don't remember what the cost for the attorney was, but it was
Pretty
God,
high.
it was like $5,000 in attorney fees
I'm
to
gonna
get the
say,
loan on the
yeah.
last truck, or pretty close to.
And for the new board members that maybe weren't exposed to this or kind of, hey, what's this about? The reason is we are formed under Public Act 33, and there is a requirement in there that requires us to seek approval for a loan by each municipality. And Jane and I probably aged a year
a year.
in that process. Running around, it probably took 5 of us to achieve that loan for the truck. And we're trying to avoid a loan for a truck.
Absolutely.
And your desire, Greg, is to hold the current one in reserve rather than sell it even once this truck is online, correct?
Yes, that would be my preference. It wouldn't be a frontline truck. We've got some ideas where, you know, we might have some opportunities down south to ship this truck. But I reached out, one of the things Jane asked, well, what does it cost each year to keep this truck? Well, that's a sensible question. And it's about $2,000 between pump testing and maintenance.
That's
Oil
not bad.
change, annual service, about $2,000. Not including tires. Tires I didn't figure out. That's a 7-year plan. So there's some value. The used truck market is saturated now. So while it's not great as a frontline truck, it's certainly, if you look at our secondary trucks and our third dues, the truck has got tremendous potential, especially if you talk about selling it for $100,000. You may want to consider keeping it, but we've got time to think about that. We've reached out to a couple of people. The problem is the build time for a truck is 12 months. So you have to plan this. It's been in the capital plan. We've been saving for it. And this is the prudent thing to do. Otherwise you end up with a lot of obsolete equipment that becomes problematic.
Right. So we're going to order this truck right away, make down payment on it. Is that what you're saying?
We don't have to make a down payment on this until the chassis is in. I confirmed with Grant Spencer today, the chassis is about 6-month delivery.
Okay.
So that we don't have to pay that chassis down payment for 6 months.
Okay, so we should
Out of
get this
curi-
ordered.
Sorry. Out of curiosity, Greg, where's the chassis come from?
I think it's from Spartan Manufacturing. Spartan, and I don't know
believe
what
they're in
state.
Pennsylvania.
Spartans in Charlotte, Michigan.
Are
Unless-
they?
Yes.
What can you do for us there, Eric?
Talk
You're
to-
not, you're not buying the fire truck there either. But no, most of the chassis come from there. Kenworth is another one. And I don't want to go too far into it, but if you've listened or watched the news, the RV market is going crazy right now. And most of the chassis are going to the RV market. That's probably why there's a 6 month.
Oh, yeah.
So just FYI.
Right. And the other thing we're running into, and I'm sure most of you would agree, the price changes are dramatic. It's unbelievable what materials have gone up to, and that's what's hitting the fire service quite hard, along with any other business. But we want to try to get this locked in with the board's blessing and approval on this, if you should decide.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
Do we need to make a motion to give Greg permission to sign all the contracts for this?
That was in the motion you made.
That's what we're
That
doing.
was in the
right
motion I
now.
made? Oh, I guess I didn't remember what I made. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion by Poland, seconded by Fox, to buy this fire truck. So can we have a roll call vote, please, Chris?
Yes, ma'am. Pullen,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Sorry, my pen stopped working.
Oh. It is actually-
Aldrich,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Verplank,
Yes.
and Phelps.
Yes.
And Miller is absent. That's 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Fire Board. Thank you.
Welcome.
Moving on. We have to have a schedule of meetings for the 2021 year. Just need an approval on this. Kind of a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the township administrative board meeting schedule for 2021.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Phelps and a second by Fox. Is there any discussion about this? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Phelps,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Verplank,
Yes.
and Pullen.
Yes. Chris,
you.
will our next meeting be a Zoom meeting, do you think?
As of now, I believe so,
Good, thank you.
unless something drastically changes.
Yeah, it won't.
It's had change for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to item D. We have a request to use the station for a car wash in 2021.
I can provide for the fire board. We've got 20 fire departments in Allen County, very well put together organization with some great fire departments, a lot of strength, a lot of unity, strong mutual aid, a lot of unified command structures. So the problem we have is we have no funding mechanism. We used to fund the Elgin County Fire Chiefs Association with I guess it was kind of a basketball get together once a year. The problem is for every dollar that was donated, we got about 17 cents.
Oh, jeez.
And the Fire Chiefs Association voted to stop that. So we fund, for example, you can see in the request right here, we funded over $5,000 worth of classes for a lot of the fire departments. That's just a portion of what we do. We have had to supplement all the fire academy. The fireworks funding now pays for a good part of the fire academy, but it doesn't pay for everything. So where does that money come from? The training committee of Alton County comes to the Chiefs Association and says, hey, I've got 5 people in the class, will you help us pay for the books? And we do that. Well, like anybody else, our funds are getting down. So the Fire Chiefs Association decided to go 2 ways. And number one was we are going to have a concert put on. Well, that was canceled, obviously. And one of the other big funding mechanisms has been car washes. Very low impact for the fire department. Allegan City just did it. And we're asking permission. And we'll rotate, and I'm going to start Walk the Talk, and I want to start it at Saugatuck Fire in spring to do a car wash. We will pay for the expenses. We know that it works well with Saugatuck Fire, and other fire departments would take a turn doing fundraising. It's not always going to be at Saugatuck. Yes, Dan?
If you want to really drive the money, do it in the summer when the tourists.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's number one. You won't agree as quickly to number 2.
Correct.
Do it by the firefighters in swimwear. I'm serious. I'm deadly serious. I mean, you know, it's just like when you guys, you know, pass the fire boot and all the rest of that for donations and so forth. It has its own momentum. Believe me.
So you'll pay us to get out of line so you don't have to see that? Is that how that works?
Yeah, the turnout line is $10 and the car wash is $5. You get it either way.
I would also suggest that possibly you may want to hire Erin to do the publicity for this. God knows she can put together a car wash that makes money. So I think it would be well worth, you know, whatever, to get a website and get, you know, Facebook,
We agree.
that kind of thing.
We agreed. Erin actually crafted the draft for the Chiefs Association. She
Oh,
created the
good job.
flyer, and Erin did it all on her own time. She didn't charge us anything. She just did it all for us.
I'm giving
the-
you the topless car wash fire department idea. That's free. That's gratis. I charge you nothing for that. Back in the day, I'd have taken 15% off the top of everything. Now I'm giving it to you.
Thank you for that, Dan. So,
Are you planning one day of this? Because remember last time it got a little tiring after 2
Yeah, it
days.
was 2 days.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was too much for everybody. I remember.
yeah, you
I
know,
would rather-
Stacy, I thought we might do it like one Saturday and then wait 6 weeks to another Saturday. We don't
Yeah.
have a firm schedule. We want to do it like Saugatuck does it. One does it the same time the east side does it. So
Okay.
Yeah.
we would do 2 car washes on a Saturday, geographically, you know, and then the next time maybe Grass Cup will do it, and then maybe Wayland would do it. So that's what our vision was, because it's a low cost thing. People think they're getting something out of it, which they do, a hand car wash. And it
Yeah.
has a lot of community spirit about it. And boy, I tell you, we all learned how this community came together for Avery Betts. And we're not drawing comparisons, but I can tell you, as the Allegan County Chiefs Association being a nonprofit organization, we just don't have time or avenues anywhere else to do this. And this is the best, most productive thing we can do.
I got
Is there a way to
question.
word it a little bit so that if they want to give more than $10, like $10 or more or whatever? Because a lot of people give more, I think.
I think
bet.
they actually do. A lot of people do.
Sure.
Mhm.
We could put a minimum donation or whatever. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a question. Are we okay with insurance, liability and all that fun stuff at our station?
I can reach out to our insurance company and get an opinion from them. I know that I've reached out to them before when we hosted events here, but I'd be glad to do that again.
You may want to do it at the Green Koi in the summer. That place looks busier than any.
It does, doesn't it?
It's like they're giving the product away there.
No, they're not.
doubt that, but
Okay, so can I have a motion?
All right, I'll make a motion to permit the Allegan County Fire Chiefs Association the use of the Saugatuck Township Fire District facility to host a car wash fundraiser in 2021.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Pullen, a second by Phelps. Is there any more discussion?
we should probably have in that motion more than one, multiple car washes. This is just saying one to host a
Okay.
car wash.
Okay, let me adjust it to host car washes.
There we go.
Car wash fundraisers.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Pullen,
Yes,
Phelps,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes,
Fox,
As long as it's
And-
topless.
and Verplank.
Yes. Okay, moving on.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Great.
Emergency respond radio coverage in Saugatuck Public Schools.
This was very exciting. As you know, the board directed me to reach out to the school system about, hey, since we're going to be doing these projects with the school, you know, are they going to budget and address radio coverage? We may have some radio lapses, dead spots in the high school, middle school. And I'll tell you, I met with Tim Travers and GMB, and it was absolutely magical. It was all positive. Hey, we're more than interested in doing this. We went over some of the site plans at the elementary school, because this could, you know, end up costing some money here. So we don't know what it's going to take, but they were more than willing to address it should we have a problem in the schools, because some of the construction that takes place, we don't know the impact it's going to have on the radio coverage. It's that what if. And the engineers and architects that were online were very up on it. And they said, we'll provide conduits and provide raceways for wiring. So if we cannot achieve radio coverage within the building, then they will budget for and put in a system to address radio coverage. So it was a tremendous response, because they didn't know this when they were doing their capital plan or when they were asking for funding. So I can share with you that that was a very majestic time for me to be on Zoom meeting with those people, and the implications that it has, and the willingness and spirit of cooperation displayed by Saugatuck Public Schools was stellar. So I think it's important for the fire board to know, you know, they're stepping up to the plate and they're willing to do something. This is something that people don't know about. Everything will fall apart if we can't talk inside the schools. And with a digital radio system, there's a lot of schools you can't talk in. And I don't want Saugatuck Public Schools to be like another school. And neither do they. So you have before you a letter that was drafted with the lead on this was Mr. Fox, who's very good at this. And Chris and I provided some information, and Dan took that and put it in a more or less a media release letter to the editor. And it's for review by the board and subsequent approval, should you just decide.
I
Can I
think
have a
that's
motion?
wonderful. Okay, all right, I'll make a motion to permit Fire Board Secretary Dan Fox, with the support of Chief Janik, to send a letter to the editor and Saugatuck Public School Board on behalf of the Fire Board, recognizing the major achievement in public safety by providing a reliable emergency responder radio coverage system in Saugatuck Public Schools.
I'll support that.
Okay, I have a motion by Pullen. and a
Carew.
second by
Yeah, true.
Pullen and a second by Eldridge. Is there any discussion?
I would just add on this that doing this as a letter to the editor may be a good way to sort of proactively manage this kind of public affairs communication, as opposed to just a media release that then gives the newspaper the chance to either ignore it as they have in the past or what have you. Generally speaking, my experience is they won't ignore letters to the editor. And in the commercial record, I think I've heard it said, and I believe it to be true, that the letters to the editor are probably the number one most read aspect of that newspaper. So it is a good way to get information out. And I think this is a perfect example, but there'll be other things as well, whether it's the new fireboat or what have you, that having a direct channel from basically the fire board to the public is a good thing and a positive thing. So.
Good point. And if I could add, Jane, to jump off of Dan's comments, it also shows, in my opinion, a tremendous collaborative effort between the school system and fire district. And what are we all talking about here? You know, Dan brought it up. We're talking about community risk reduction. And as Dan pointed out, you know, our number one target audience are our schools.
Oh, yeah.
And this just shows how important the school system is to this fire district and the fire board and to the community. So to me, this is a win-win situation that, as Dan brought to the forefront, people need to know this. So a letter to the editor is a great way of doing it. And I thank Dan for the idea.
Thank you.
It also publicly documents your meeting, which is good.
Yeah, yep. They even gave me the minutes of the meeting and they had in there. So it was outstanding.
Good. I think that's real progress. Okay, so can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Pullen,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Plank,
Yes.
and Phelps.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the last thing on the agenda is the thank you letter from 143 Van Dalsen. Do you want to read this, Greg?
May I? Thank
Please.
you. Okay. This is pretty cool too. Pretty excited today. Dear Chief Janik and the Saugatuck Fire Department, thank you. These people were in the escaped the chimney fire on Van Dalsen. They were renters. Thank you for your kindness and professionalism at 143 Van Dalsen on December 6th. Words can't express how grateful we are to have a team like yours keeping us safe during crisis. I hope you enjoy these cookies, molasses, spice, and chocolate chip sea salt with a tall glass of milk or a cold beer. I hope you have a lovely holiday and stay safe and healthy. All the best, Sarah, Maya, Ethan, and Nicholas. So pretty cool.
What's that little PS down at the bottom there? What does that say?
The cookie are both nut-free and were baked on December 7th.
Oh, right
in the
above,
PS.
right above where it says Merry Christmas.
Oh,
Cleaner.
gonna need a cleaner chimney. You just had to point that out.
I think that's great. Santa
Yeah.
Claus needs a clean chimney.
Yeah, they
Yes.
were very, very grateful. And I'll tell you that the whole response, there's no doubt the team, the firefighters saved that house. It extended into the attic and the trusses were burning. So just a great knockdown.
Okay, do we have any public comments? Griffin, you got anything?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Dave, Kyle. Okay, fire board comments. Scott?
I just hope everybody has a good Christmas and hopefully a better 2021.
Dan?
Hard to imagine 2021 being worse, so I agree. And Merry Christmas to everybody.
Okay, moving on. Eric?
Well said, Scott. I agree. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all.
Drew?
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Hope to see you all next year.
Stacy?
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Okay, and
I'll be here all by myself.
yeah, me too.
Oh, we should FaceTime, Jane.
Yeah. I want to thank the fire board for all they do for us and your cooperation and giving up a Monday afternoon every month. And thank all of you and have a great Christmas and a safe New Year. And we'll see you next year.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll support.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Phelps,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Here. Yes.
Fox.
We know you're here, Stacy.
I think I'm a little checked out right now.
Fox,
Yes.
Verplank,
Yes.
and Pullen.
Yes,
Motion carries. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
thank you. Hey, Jane,
Yeah.
Jane, are
Yeah.
you going to Andy's or Andy coming here?
I think he's coming here